So, after the discussion of the basic definitions in the soil mechanics, now we will be moving on to the some important properties here, that is the index properties. In this topic we will be covering from the particle size distribution to the consistency of the clays, and then some topics like sensitivity and thixotropy, and we will be further moving on after that to some portion of the Indian soil classification system. So, the very first thing here, that is what is the index property, or how does it affect, or what role does it play in defining the soil mechanics. In this, see here that properties of the soil in soil mechanics, properties of the soil are broadly classified as index properties and engineering properties. So, important here is this thing, index properties, but these engineering properties, that is which is of our concern, that is let us say if we talk about a foundation that is being there on a soil, let us take this soil and a foundation is being constructed here and a structure is to be built. So, the bearing capacity of this soil, or when the load is being placed on it, what is the compressibility which it will show. So, these are the properties which will be considered as the engineering properties. And now we will further look on that the properties which facilitate the assessment of engineering behavior of the soil is generally known as index properties. These index properties helps in the identification and classification, like this, see, identification and classification of soils, because when we go for the classification of soils, in that time we will be discussing how these index properties, we will be seeing consistency, the liquid limit, the plastic limit and shrinkage limit later on. So, how these index properties will be affecting the classification of soil, or how will they be managing the different classifications. Also, these properties can be determined by some test, by some quick and simple test, and these tests are called nothing but classification tests. So, here on now we will be discussing this engineering properties which I have already told you, like most of the engineering properties like shear strength, load bearing capacity, compressibility, permeability, etc. depends on these index properties. So, when we get some results by the classification tests, we will be assessing the soil. And further, index properties can be divided into what? Soil properties, soil aggregate properties, and other thing is what? Soil grain properties. So, you have to understand here that the soil contains what? Soil contains what? Nothing but three things, that is soil grains. If we talk about three phase diagram, and then here it is water, and then there it is air. So, if we talk about these three things, the soil grain, if we individually study this soil grain, so the properties which define this soil grain, it is called as soil grain properties. But if we consider the soil as a whole, that is air, water and the soil solids, at that time we will be taking care of the soil as an aggregate. So, these properties will be soil aggregate properties. Moving on further, so what are these soil grain properties and what are these soil aggregate properties? So, understand that soil grain, that is each and every solid particle, we are not considering water or air which is present in the soil, that is present in the voids of the soil. So, what is this soil grain properties? That is individual grain, individual particle of the soil. So, these are the properties of individual grains of a soil mass. These are independent of soil formation process, obviously, because we are talking about just a single grain. We are not talking about what type of forces have they like combined so as to form the soil, because when we talk about soil aggregate properties, they would have been like dependent on the soil formation processes. And also see this, that the properties of the individual particles can be determined from remolded and distributed sample, disturbed sample. So, why this remolded? Because the soil solids will not undergo any change when remolding takes place. At least we consider that we are not taking any change there, though there might be some plastic readjustment of the soil solids, but we will not be considering that portion. Also, now for example, we will be taking three things here. Let us say what are the soil grain properties. We will be discussing grain size and shape, that is what type of shape it is. Let us say here grain size and shape. When we talk about fine grained particles, let us say clay, so these are usually flaky shaped or of needle shaped particles, that is needle shaped, like wherein the this flaky is what, nothing but this dimension is very much less than the this long dimension, this lateral dimension. Also then we will be discussing on to the particle size distribution, and we will do the particle size analysis here, where we will be discussing the coarse grained and the fine grained soil. Then the third is the specific gravity, which we can measure by different methods. When we talk about soil aggregate properties, these are the properties of a soil mass as a whole. What does it depend on? First is the mode of soil formation, that is what type of soil, that is when we discuss the talus soil and the marl soil, what is the method of the formation, that is by erosion, by transportation, or etc., that we have discussed earlier. Then soil stress history, if the soil has been subjected to some past stresses in the recent past, or in the like very much later, in the very much previous stage. So those are the two things, and also the soil structure, which also governs the properties of the soil aggregate, soil as a whole. So it represents collective behavior of a soil mass. Also, as the soil grain was not affected due to the disturbance, or when we changed the soil or we molded the soil, we mixed the soil grains were not affected. But when we talk about this soil aggregate, soil as a whole, so when we disturb the soil sample, what happens? When we disturb it, the void ratio may get changed. So there are some changes which come into the soil. So soil as a whole, that is the soil content in terms of water, that is the voids, and voids containing the air and water, and the soil solids, they might get readjusted. So soil is affected as a whole here. So these should be determined from an undisturbed sample, so that we get the correct values, not the disturbed values. So some soil aggregate properties, that is the water content, which we can determine by various methods like oven drying method, or sand bath method, or alcohol method. Then we talk about relative density, and then we will be discussing in detail the consistency limit, which is an important topic here, and then the in situ density, what is the field density there. The very first soil grain property which we will be discussing is the grain size distribution. Now see here that the percentage of different sizes of particles present in any given dry sample of soil is analyzed by particle size distribution, which is carried out in two stages. Now see here that let us say there is some amount of soil that we take, let us say 1000 gram of soil is taken. So understand, it might contain what, either coarse grained fraction or might contain what, fine grained fraction. So what is the amount, like what is the different size? Some sizes would be greater, this much size, some would have been like smaller, and some would have been like very much smaller. And when we talk about fine, so it would have been like much more smaller than the coarse grained particle. So we have to analyze what type of the grain size is there, what type of solid size is present in the soil. So in the very first stage we will be doing the sieve analysis, which is done for the coarse grained soil, and in the second stage we will be doing the sedimentation analysis, which is done for the fine grained soils. And usually what happens, that a given soil sample consists of all the sizes of the particles, hence both the analysis are done. So in the very first stage we will start with what, sieve analysis. When we complete the sieve analysis, then we will move on to the next stage, that is a finer fraction which is retained. At that time we will be doing what, the fine analysis, that is the sedimentation analysis. For considering like bigger particles, like when we say bigger particles, that we could say that greater than 4.75 mm, or we could say more than 75 micron size, or so what and how we will be classifying it, the Indian Standard Code IS 460 1962 gives the different sieve sizes. Also understand here that these are designated by the size of their apertures, that is the size by which lets the soil particles to pass through. Also understand this is done, this sieve analysis is done for the soil fraction which is retained over 75 micron IS sieve. Let us say here, let us say that you have some different set of sieves, and let us say 75 micron is here, let us say this is 4.75 mm, and then let us say this is 0.075 mm, that is the 75 micron sieve. If we place a soil sample here, what happens that the greater particles will be what, retained here, and somewhat smaller one will be retained on the this much, and let us say this is what, let us say this is 80 mm, and some more smaller particles will be retained here, and then similarly some particles will be retained here, and some fraction, this entire fraction which is retained over this part, that is the coarser fraction. The something that passes, the fraction which passes this 4.75 mm IS sieve is what, nothing but the finer portion. So the entire this, that is till what is retained over the 75 micron IS sieve will be considered as the coarser fraction, and when we talk about the finer or the sedimentation analysis, we will be discussing the particles which have passed on from the 75 micron IS sieve. So this analysis is further of two types, that is the coarse sieving and the fine sieving, and the sieve size as I have discussed is nothing but from 80 microns to 75 80 mm to 75 micron IS sieve. Now understand here that the fraction which is retained on 4.75 mm IS sieve, that is the gravel fraction, because we will be discussing it further, that let us say this is 4.75 and some soil is getting retained over here, or let us say any subsequent number of greater number of IS sieve sizes. So if something is retained, that is the what, this entire is what, the gravel fraction, and anything which passes down is what, the finer fraction. So the sieve sizes which are there are, it is the gravel fraction is, it is subjected to coarse sieving. What are the sieve sizes? These sieve sizes are 80 mm, 40 mm, 20 mm, 10 mm, 4.75 mm for further separating the gravel fraction. So if this is the gravel fraction, so what is the percentage that is between 4.75 and let us say 10 mm, or 10 to 20 mm, 20 to then 40 or 40 to 80 mm. What is the sieve size? What is the particle size? Also here see, the fraction which passes 4.75 mm sieve is subjected to fine sieving. So the process, this here, the whatever finer portion will be there, it will be passing down, so that will be subject to fine sieving. When we talk about fine sieving, it is nothing but a different set of sieves, nothing but a different set of sieves. So these could be 2 mm, 1 mm, 600 microns, 425 microns, 300 microns, 212 microns, 150 microns and 75 microns. So these are the different set of sieves which is used for the fine sieving. Also generally understand here one thing, that the very fine particles, they tend to what, they tend to flock together, they tend to combine together, agglomerate together. So what we use there, generally it is preferred, what is the solution that we are going to discuss here, that is it is preferred to wash the soil fraction which passes through 4.75 mm IS sieve, that is the finer portion, and retains over 75 micron, in order to remove or dislodge clay or silt particles present over the sand, that is they will tend to what, somewhat agglomerate, and then they will try to clog the, they will not be showing the individual grain particle. For washing this thing, we will be using 2 grams of sodium hexametaphosphate as a deflocculating reagent in 1 liters of water. Let us say we take 1 liter of water here. So, here in this we will be taking just small, very small amount, that is 2 grams only. So, that is the amount we will be taking, and then with this soil suspension we will be preparing the, we will be washing the soil which is finer in nature. Now, understand one thing more here, that the percentage retained on a particular sieve is what? Is what? Nothing but weight of the soil retained on that sieve upon the total weight of the soil. That we talk about in percentage. In arithmetic we know that something upon the total is the nothing but percentage into 100. What is the cumulative percentage? Cumulative means we add on. So, what is it? See, sum of percentage retained on all sieves of larger sizes, that is above a concerned section, above a concerned sieve, and the percentage retained on that particular sieve. We will be seeing with an example how it happens, how we calculate the cumulative percentage retained. Then after the cumulative percentage retained, we move on to the percentage finer. That is, if we say, let us say how many, if something is retained, let us say it is a 4.75 mm sieve, and let us say we have taken 100 grams of soil and 60 grams is retained here, but 40 grams passes. So, how much is finer than this sieve? How much particle is finer than this sieve? That is the 40%, that is total 40 grams is nothing but what? 40 percentage of this 100 grams. So, that is what is percentage finer, finer than what? The concerned sieve. Here the concerned sieve size was 4.75 mm. Let us see the example here. We have taken different sieves 80 mm, 40, 20, 10 and 4.75 mm. This is just an example for you to see here. Now, here weight retained is what? 150 gram. So, let us say we have taken 1000 grams of the soil, of any soil sample, and 150 gram retained here. Then we did the sieve analysis, 150 gram retained here, then some 250 grams is retained here, and 100 grams is retained here, and 200 gram here, and 300 gram on the 4.75 mm IS sieve. So, these are the percentage, that is the weight retained. So, we can calculate the percentage because we know how much grams is there, that is 1000 gram is there. So, 150 upon 1000 into 100. So, that will be nothing but 15%, then 25%, 10%, 20% and 30%. When we talk about cumulative percentage retained, so the previous one is nothing, that is 0. So, 0 plus 15, it will be 15. Now, 25 plus 15, that will come to 40, 40 plus 10, that will come to 50. So, cumulative percentage retained, like let us say if we take 20 mm sieve here, 20 mm sieve here. So, what is the cumulative percentage retained? That is above this, that is this 40 mm and then 20 mm and then this 80 mm. So, here it is, if we talk about this total, it is nothing but 50 of all the 3. So, we denoted it as 50. So, what will be the corresponding, the percentage finer than 20 mm sieve? What will the percentage corresponding will be? 100 minus 50, that is the percentage finer. So, we get here 50. Similarly, when we move on to the cumulative percentage retained, it is 20 and this is 30. So, it is 50 plus this 20, that will be 70, and then 70 plus 30, that will be 100. Subsequently, we will be finding out the 100 minus cumulative. In the previous slide we saw that percentage finer is nothing but 100 minus the cumulative percentage weight retained. So, when we talk about the very first one, 100 minus 15, that is 85. So, if some percentage is retained, that is let us say 15% is retained on 80 mm sieve. So, how much percentage is finer? That is 100 minus 15, that is 85. Similarly, if we say 70, let us say 70, if we say that on the 10 mm sieve, 70% like 70% on all the sieves subsequent to the or the above the 10 mm sieves contain 70% of all the total sizes. So, how much is the percentage finer? You already know that it will be 100 minus 70, that is 30 percentage, that is the percentage finer. So, in this way, if any problem comes in front of you where you get different sizes, so you can easily know that how much percent or how many particles are finer than that size. Now, when we know that this is the stage 2, that is, if we have taken some soil, so it will be containing what? Some coarse grained particles and some fine grained particles. So, we have taken into consideration the sieve analysis for the coarser grained particles, but for fine grained, that is the small particles, for fine grained we will be going for the sedimentation analysis. Now, understand what is sedimentation. As we have already studied in the schools, in your school, that sedimentation is nothing but like if you keep a beaker filled with water and if you mix some, let us say, salt or something, then what happens? The salt particle which is inserted in here, it will slowly with time it will settle down in the at the bottom of the beaker. So, in this also the fine particles will, what will happen to them? The fine particles will settle down onto the base of the beaker. So, how this is for soil, we will be discussing that now. The analysis is done for the soil fraction which passed through 75 micron IS sieve. So, which have passed through the 75 micron, that is, we have already considered the percentage of the particles or the soil fraction which was retained over the 75 micron IS sieve. Now, we will be discussing the particles which have passed the 75 micron sieve, that is, they are finer than 75 micron IS sieve. So, the soil fractions, we will be discussing one more thing here, that having size less than 0.2 microns cannot be analyzed even by the sedimentation analysis, and for them we will be using some special techniques like X-ray diffraction and electron microscopy. Also understand here that the entire sedimentation analysis is based upon the Stokes law. When we talk about some Stokes law, like when we will be discussing the permeability topic later on, we will be discussing the Darcy's law. So, any law has some assumptions and it is also based on some limitations. So, here understand the entire sedimentation analysis is based upon Stokes law, according to which the velocity of the particles which are particle is assumed to be spherical shape. Particle is nothing but spherical, it is not flaky, it is actually spherical during the settlement process. Keeping all other factors to be constant, this velocity of settlement is dependent on the shape, size and the mass of the particle. Let us see here, this settling velocity Vs is g minus 1 into gamma w into d square, that is unit weight of water, into this is the d is the size of the particle, and then this mu is the nothing but viscosity. So, we have denoted here that g is specific gravity of the soil solid, gamma w is unit weight of water, d is the diameter of particle under consideration, that is, there can be a different number of particle sizes which can be available in the analysis, but we have to take into consideration one particle size, and we will be analyzing that thing, and then mu is nothing but the kinematic viscosity. Now, we will be moving on to the limitations of the Stokes law. Here we have taken into consideration the Stokes law, and the formula is there which has assumed the particles to be spherical. So, see here, very first thing, the soil particles are assumed to be spherical, whereas in actual, that is in practicality, we see that the fine grained particles are flaky or needle shaped. Flaky I have discussed earlier. Then Stokes law considers the velocity of free fall in a suspension of infinite extent. When we take into consideration this Stokes law, it is for beaker which is of something called as infinite extent, and it is the velocity of settling which is something constant. but here it for a certain size of particle, let us say it is size of diameter d. But in actual, when we are doing the sedimentation analysis, it is a beaker, which has some finite dimension. This is the boundary, this is the boundary, this is the boundary here. So, it is having some finite dimension. Then third point here, see, particles are assumed to undergo discrete settling, but in actual, fine grained particles agglomerate during their settlement. What do you understand by discrete settling? Discrete means separately, like different, one and then other, then third is the other particle. But what happens in actual, the fine grained particles tend to clog, like they tend to flock together, they tend to join together. So, in actual, the fine grained particles will be joining, they will be agglomerating during their settlement process. Then we move on to the fourth point here. The Stokes law is valid for particles having size between 0.2 mm and 0.0002 mm. Remember this thing, it is very important that this is valid for only this range. But what happens if the particle size is greater than this, or the particle size is less than 0.0002 mm size? If the size of particle is greater than 0.2 mm, then it generates turbulence around it during the settlement, as a result of which acceleration due to gravity, because when the particle is like moving in the liquid, what happens? It is subjected to gravitational force. So, here when the size is greater than 0.2 mm, it generates turbulence around it during the settlement process, as the result of which acceleration due to gravity is observed throughout the settlement, and also without the attainment of the constant velocity. But in actual, it is what? A constant velocity when we talk about this Stokes law. And if the particle size is less than 0.0002 mm, then Brownian motion takes place. These particles move in the random direction, and what happens there? That it does not allow settlement to take place. Now, if we talk about the preparation of the soil suspension, what happens that when we take a beaker and we have let us say water, and we have to place some, we will be analyzing a soil which has passed the 75 micron ISC. So, in this we will not be simply placing this soil into the water and then analyzing it, we will be doing some preparation of this soil suspension. And what are the different methods, that is the pipette method or the hydrometer method, these two things we will be discussing, how these two things are going to take place. So, let us see the few points here. The very first point, before preparing the soil suspension, organic matter and calcium compounds present in the soil sample is removed in order to prevent agglomeration of the soil solids during the settlement. Agglomeration means they tend to join, they tend to stick together. Organic matter also has some sticky nature, that like you see the sewage soil or the sludge that happens, or calcium compounds are somewhat sticky in nature. So, they tend to what? Agglomerate. When they tend to agglomerate, what happens there? We will not be observing the discrete settling. When we do not observe the discrete settling, how can we analyze the individual grain? We will be looking at the soil in terms of what? The the whole thing. So, the process of the removal of organic matter and calcium compounds from the soil sample is referred as pre-treatment. So, this pre-treatment, here what happens, that organic matter is removed by addition of hydrogen peroxide, that is an oxidizing agent, which carries out the oxidation of organic matter. And what happens for calcium compounds? Addition of 0.02 N HCl, it removes what? Calcium compounds. So, the organic matter is removed by this hydrogen peroxide, and calcium compounds are removed by 0.02 N HCl. And further we will be discussing this in the subsequent lectures, that how this preparation of soil sample goes into the hydrometer analysis or the pipette analysis. Thank you. That is all for today.